You lean in. Your heart is doing something stupid against your ribs. The room goes quiet. The edges of everything go soft, and the entire universe shrinks down to a couple of centimeters of empty air between your mouth and someone else's. And then you close the gap. Stop for a second and look at what you are actually doing. You are taking the hole you use to eat, to breathe, to talk, and you are pressing it against the exact same hole on another person on purpose. And your brain is flooding with chemicals that are absolutely convinced this is the best decision you have ever made in your life. It is the year 2026. You have done this, or you want to, or you are pretending you do not. But here is the part almost nobody ever stops to ask. Who was first? Somewhere, deep in the human story, someone pressed their mouth to another person's mouth for the very first time, with no idea what they were doing or why. And that one small, vulnerable, slightly strange little act would go on to become one of the most recognized symbols of love on the entire planet. Except it is not universal. And that is exactly where this story starts to get weird. Here is the thing nobody tells you about kissing. We treat it like instinct, like something hardwired into us, as natural as breathing. But for most of human history, a huge number of cultures looked at romantic kissing and were baffled by it. Some found it strange, some found it rude, and a few were genuinely, openly disgusted by it. Kissing is not a human universal, it is closer to a habit that had to be invented, spread, and learned the same way we learned farming, or writing, or saying no worries the second after someone thanks us. So when did it start? Why did it start? And why do some people on Earth, right now, still think that mashing your face against someone else's is one of the strangest things a person can possibly do? To get there, we have to go back, way back. Before the first wedding, before the first love letter, before there was a word for love in any language that has ever existed. And this matters more than it sounds, because the story of kissing is secretly the story of you. It is tangled up in how your species bonds, how it chooses who to have children with, how it spread disease across continents, and how a single tiny gesture could carry so much weight that an emperor once tried to ban it, strip away all the romance. And a kiss turns out to be one of the most information-rich things two humans can do with their bodies. So let us start with the most basic question of all. Is kissing even natural? The honest answer is, sort of. And the evidence comes from some relatives you do not invite to talk about it at the dinner table. Bonobos, who along with chimpanzees are our closest living relatives, kiss. Not a polite peck. Open-mouthed, tongue-involved, enthusiastic kissing that has made more than one zookeeper deeply uncomfortable. Chimpanzees kiss too, though their version is more about peace than romance. After a fight, two chimps will often press their mouths together to make up, to reset, to say, "We are okay," without a single sound. So the raw ingredients of the kiss, the bringing of faces together, the use of the mouth as a tool for connection rather than just eating, those ingredients are older, far older than us. But here is the trap, and it is a trap a lot of people fall into. The fact that our cousins do something similar does not prove that human kissing is pure instinct. Because if kissing were truly hardwired into every human brain, every human culture would do it. And they do not. So if it is not simply instinct, where did it actually come from? For that, we need a theory that is equal parts beautiful and slightly gross. It is called the kiss-feeding hypothesis. It is one of several competing ideas for where kissing came from, but once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. For most of human history, there were no blenders, no baby food in little jars, no soft purees in pouches. So how do you feed a baby who has no teeth and cannot chew? You chew for them. Across the world and across the animal kingdom, mothers have long chewed food into a soft paste and passed it directly, mouth to mouth, into their infants. It is called pre-mastication, and it is exactly what it sounds like. The original baby food delivery system, no equipment required. And here is the leap that researchers think happened. That mouth-to-mouth gesture, the one that meant I am feeding you, I am keeping you alive, you can trust me, slowly got repurposed. The mouth became a place of care, of safety, of love. And over a very long time, the gesture that once meant here is food softened into a gesture that simply meant, I love you. If that is true, then every romantic kiss you have ever had is a faint echo of a mother feeding her child, which is either the most touching thing you will hear today or something you will be thinking about uncomfortably the next time you lean in. Possibly both. But if kissing is this deep, this old, this woven into the way we care for each other, then we are left with a genuine mystery. Why on earth do so many humans not do it? This is where the whole story flips on its head. In 2015, a team of researchers did something that sounds simple, but had somehow never been done properly. They actually counted. They looked at well over 100 cultures from around the world and asked a basic question. Do these people kiss romantically? Mouth to mouth? The way we mean it? And the answer shattered the assumption that kissing is universal. In their survey of 168 cultures, romantic kissing showed up in fewer than half of them. Less than half. The thing we think of as the most natural expression of love on the planet was completely absent from a huge slice of humanity. And it gets better. In some of these societies, kissing was not just unknown, it was actively disgusting. There are accounts of people encountering European explorers kissing and reacting with genuine horror. The idea, from their point of view, was baffling. Why would you put your mouths together? Why would you swap saliva? Why would you willingly share each other's spit and call it romantic when you could just, not? When you say it out loud like that, they kind of have a point. So what did these cultures do instead? Many of them did something that is arguably more intimate. The sniff kiss. Instead of pressing lips, you press your nose to someone's cheek or face and you breathe them in. You take in their scent. Among the Inuit, it is sometimes called a kunik, and despite the cartoon version you have seen, it was never about rubbing noses for fun. It was about closeness, about scent, about a kind of recognition that goes deeper than lips ever could. Across the Pacific, across parts of Asia and Africa, the smell of a loved one, breathed in deliberately, carried the meaning that we hand to the kiss. Which means the lip kiss, the one you think of as the kiss, is not the default setting for humanity. It is one option among several, a cultural invention, and like every invention, that means it had a beginning, and it had to spread. So let us go and find the oldest one we can. For a long time, the textbook answer was India. The earliest clear references to romantic kissing many scholars could point to came from ancient Sanskrit texts, going back to around 1500 BC. The leading idea, championed by the anthropologist Vaughan Bryant, was that romantic kissing more or less began in the Indian subcontinent and then spread outward to the rest of the world, carried west, the theory goes, after the soldiers of Alexander the Great arrived in the region around 326 BC and took the custom home with them. A neat story, kissing as a souvenir from one of history's most famous invasions. But then, in 2023, that neat story got complicated in the best possible way. A study published in the journal Science took a hard look at something older than the Sanskrit texts. Clay tablets from ancient Mesopotamia, the land between the rivers in what is now Iraq, and buried in that ancient cuneiform, that wedge-shaped writing pressed into clay, were references to kissing as a perfectly ordinary part of romantic and sexual life. References that push documented kissing back to at least 2500 BC, 1,000 years before the Indian texts. And the researchers made a bigger point than just, we found an older one. They argued that kissing was not invented in a single place, and then exported to the world like a product. It was already there, woven into daily life across the ancient Near East, treated as so normal that nobody felt the need to explain it, which suggests something strange and a little wonderful. There may never have been a single first kiss culture. The gesture may have bubbled up in many places, many times, because the human animal keeps arriving at the same idea. Bring the face close. Use the mouth. Connect. But wherever there were kisses, there was always something else traveling along for the ride. Something invisible. Something that would follow the kiss across continents and quietly rewrite human history. A kiss has never just been a kiss. It is an exchange. And not everything you exchange is affection. When two people kiss, they trade saliva, bacteria, and viruses all in a single motion. And that same 2023 research, along with earlier work, pointed out something that should make you look at your own mouth a little differently. Kissing is a near-perfect delivery system for disease. If you wanted to design a way to move microbes efficiently from one human to another, you would struggle to beat pressing two open mouths together. Take cold sores. That is the herpes simplex virus, HSV1, the one that lives quietly in a huge share of the human population. Ancient DNA research published in 2022 sequenced old strains of that virus and suggested that the dominant modern version may have surged into prominence only around 5,000 years ago. And one of the leading explanations for why it spread so successfully, so suddenly, is the rise of romantic mouth-to-mouth kissing during the Great Migrations of the Bronze Age. In other words, as kissing spread, the virus spread with it. The history of love and the history of a virus riding the same wave, mouth to mouth, generation to generation. And the ancient world noticed the danger, even without understanding it. Jump forward to Rome, where kissing was not just allowed, it was a whole social language. The Romans had different words for different kisses. The osculum, a kiss of friendship or duty, usually on the cheek. The basium, an affectionate kiss on the lips. And the savium, the deep, passionate kiss reserved for lovers. Romans kissed to greet, to show rank, to seal agreements. Kissing was everywhere. So much so that, according to the historical accounts, the Emperor Tiberius reached his limit. During an outbreak of a disfiguring facial disease that the Romans called mentagra, Tiberius is said to have issued a ban on ritual kissing in the city. Sit with that for a moment. 2,000 years ago, a Roman emperor looked at the most popular gesture of affection in his empire and tried to switch it off to stop a disease from spreading. History's first recorded attempt to cancel kissing. It did not work, obviously. It never does. So we come back to the question we started with. If kissing is not truly universal, if it had to be invented and spread, and if it literally carries disease, then why on earth do we keep doing it? Why has nothing managed to stop it? The answer is hiding in your own body, and it is doing its job right now, whether you want it to or not. There is an actual science of kissing. It is called philematology, and it has uncovered something remarkable about that pounding heart moment. When you kiss someone, your brain lights up. It releases oxytocin, the bonding chemical, the same one involved in trust and attachment. It releases dopamine, the reward chemical, the one tied to craving and motivation, and it lowers cortisol, your stress hormone. In the space of a few seconds, a kiss can calm you, bond you, and reward you all at once. Your body is, chemically, a very enthusiastic participant. But the deepest theory is the strangest. Researchers think a kiss might be an unconscious biological audit. When you bring your face that close to someone, you are sampling them. Their scent, their taste, subtle chemical signals about their hormones, and even their immune system. There is a real hypothesis that kissing helps us, without our knowledge, assess how genetically compatible a partner might be, how healthy they are, whether their body and yours would make a good match. In other words, while you think you are having a romantic moment, some ancient part of your brain is quietly running a background check. And sometimes that check comes back as a no. We have all had the kiss that felt wrong, for reasons we could not explain. That might be biology filing its report. Which finally answers the question we opened with. When did ancient humans start kissing? The truth is, there probably was no single first kiss. The drive underneath it, the urge to bring faces close, to breathe each other in, to feed and be fed, to trust another creature mouth to mouth, that drive is older than our species. The romantic kiss is just the costume we dressed that ancient instinct in. Different cultures tailored it differently. Some kept the scent, some chose the lips, some skipped it entirely. But the thing underneath, the reaching for closeness, that was always there. So strip away the dates, the clay tablets, the viruses, and the chemistry, and here is what is left. Every kiss is a small inheritance, a gesture with no inventor, no patent, no single moment of creation. Just something humans kept reaching for, again and again, in different places and different centuries, because something in us needed it. The first people who leaned in had no word for what they were doing. They had no idea it would outlast their language, their empires, their entire world. They just did it anyway. And somehow, that small, awkward, breathtakingly vulnerable act survived all of it. So the next time you lean in, and the room goes quiet, and the world shrinks down to those last few centimeters of empty air. Remember what you are really doing? You are not just kissing someone. You are taking part in something humans have been quietly, clumsily, hopefully figuring out for 5,000 years. And you are still figuring it out. If you like the questions hiding inside the most ordinary parts of being human, the ones you never thought to ask until right now, this whole channel is built on them. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.